What up, what up, what up? It's Maybach Mel 1804. Y'all already know. I wanted to do a reaction to a news clip that I seen about how they basically was running government experiments in St. Louis, which we all should know anyways by now that they've been running government experiments on us. They still running experiments on us, spraying us like bugs, injecting our foods and all this other stuff, and seeing how we react to stuff, and things of that sort, such as the Tuskegee experiment. We should know about the mustard gas that they experimented on soldiers in the army. But I don't want to talk too much or too long, so I will play this clip for y'all so y'all can see exactly what I'm talking about.
Others would try and close their windows against it. For decades, they all had questions, and now we're seeking answers. The United States Army now admits that it sprayed a chemical that contained cadmium, a known carcinogen, on a neighborhood of more than 10,000 people. Critics say this was done with no warning and no consent. Well, tonight we return to the site of that demolished neighborhood and speak with former residents who believe the government turned them into human test subjects. Although the Army admits that the test happened, it is not admitted to harming the residents. NewsNation's Natasha Zouves investigates what was in the fog and why the truth may still be buried.
The fog drifted through the streets like a ghost.
That's exactly what it looked like, a thick fog.
It was summertime and it was hot. We would just run through it as fast as we could and try to just cool ourselves off. It stuck to you.
The spray was so foul as far as the odor. It made some of us have headaches, nausea, dizziness.
That's what I remember. It made me sick.
It wasn't the weather. It was an eerie smoke descending from rooftops, rolling from the backs of trucks.
Regular flatbed truck, but it had a big machine on the back. And it had a big nozzle that really sprayed a fog you couldn't even see through. It was that thick, and it really, we felt it as it would adhere to our skin. And as far as the guys on top of the buildings, they tried to portray them to us as maintenance workers. But we was like, what is a maintenance worker doing? And basically a hazmat suit. And they had masks and goggles.
When my team pitched the idea, I thought it was impossible. A pan that sears like stainless, lasts like cast iron, and doesn't use toxic.
In the 1950s and 60s, in secret, the U.S. Army sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide into the air of a St. Louis housing project, a largely black neighborhood called Pruitt-Igoe.
It was a lose-lose situation for us in Pruitt-Igoe. We were subjects. We were subjects.
They didn't ask for our permission. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig.
We're standing at where Pruitt-Igoe used to be here in St. Louis, and it's hard to believe more than 10,000 people used to live here. As we bring our drone up, you can see it's mostly just an empty lot now, overgrown with trees. This used to be filled with 33 high-rise buildings. It was all demolished in 1976. And according to the National Research Council, St. Louis was chosen for spraying experiments because it had similar characteristics to Soviet targets like Moscow in terms of population density and terrain and proximity to a river.
The government now admits to a secretive series of Cold War tests, including one dubbed large area coverage. More than 30 tests conducted across the U.S. and Canada, spraying zinc cadmium sulfide from planes, rooftops, and vehicles to simulate how a biological attack might spread, all to prepare for potential warfare against the Soviets.
Many of us been in the military and had top secret clearances. We know how it works.
We have died for America. We have fought for America.
You are a veteran.
I am United States Air Force veteran.
Dr. Starks, you're a veteran as well,
Yes, I am. I'm an Air Force veteran also.
Is there a sense of betrayal here?
Definitely, definitely.
They want to know if those secret tests have anything to do with what they're observing with their own eyes.
I lost my two older siblings to cancer. I lost a brother last month.
I've been diagnosed recently with a rare form of lymphoma.
I had cancer of the left kidney, had partial removal of my left kidney.
NewsNation reached out to the Army for answers. They provided a one-page response. It says the Army's own Center for Health Promotion and Preventive Medicine investigated in 1994 and found inhalation exposure would not pose a health risk. They also cite later corroborating reviews, including a 1997 review by the National Research Council. Perhaps they assumed we wouldn't read the NRC's 380-page report, but we did, and the Army's statement doesn't show the full picture. In that 1997 review, the National Research Council explicitly says repeated exposure to zinc cadmium sulfide can cause kidney or bone toxicity or lung cancer if levels are high enough. And they admitted they couldn't fully assess the risk. Why? Because some Army records remain classified, it says, for national security reasons. More troubling, key Army exposure records were missing, and when the NRC asked the Army to supply them, the Army said it couldn't find them. Finally, the NRC considered conducting its own study, but concluded it wasn't feasible.
I know
In short, it did
there.
not test the site, collect samples, or test residents, and they didn't have access to all the data. Their review was based on what the Army gave them, and what the Army either could not find or withheld. The Army ends its statement to NewsNation by saying, quote, none of the reports contained evidence of a radioactive component to the zinc cadmium sulfide dispersion tests. Residents say the secrecy and delays are no accident.
They're waiting us out.
They're waiting on all of us to die.
But that's not even the whole story, as residents demand to know what else could have been in that spray.
They have not come clean with what was in there.
Do you believe that it was just zinc cadmium sulfide in that spray?
No.
No.
We go to the source, a researcher who has spent decades declassifying government documents about these tests.
Do you believe the U.S. government sprayed some kind of radioactive material on the residents of St. Louis? I believe that they did.
And the government's surprising response to our request to declassify information.
I mean, what the hell?
Plus, renowned activist Erin Brockovich weighs in.
Do you think there's been a lie here, a cover-up here?
It sure looks that way.
The residents are asking for an apology from the government for being experimented on. They are asking for compensation, for health studies for themselves and their children. They're also asking for transparency. They want the government to release all the documents about the spraying. So, Elizabeth, tomorrow night on your show, we will go on a journey to try to declassify the one government document that a key researcher tells us she has never been able to expose. And we take the investigation to Erin Brockovich. For the residents still here, still fighting, the question is whether they will get any answers before it's too late. Elizabeth.
Well, they have a better chance of it with you on the case. Natasha Zouves, thank you so much. In part one of our NewsNation investigation last night, we uncovered a mysterious fog that once drifted through a St. Louis neighborhood, one that residents still remember decades later.
It made some of us have headaches, nausea, dizziness.
They didn't ask for our permission. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig.
They're waiting us out.
They're waiting on all of us to die.
The government admits it sprayed a chemical that contained cadmium, a known carcinogen. Critics say without warning and without consent. They sprayed it on a neighborhood of more than 10,000 people, but now years later, residents are getting sick, some with rare forms of cancer, and they're asking what else might be hidden from them. Specifically, what else could have been in that
public
spray?
salute.
Now,
Salute.
NewsNation's Natasha Zouves picks up the investigation from here.
We're on our way to meet with a researcher right now who has dedicated her career, decades, to declassifying documents and trying to figure out what exactly happened here in the city of St. Louis and what exactly was in that spray.
The importance of accurate shooting cannot be understated, and dry firing is absolutely one of the best ways you can do it. I spent 25 years in the SEAL teams, and we dry fired all the time. We didn't have something as cool as the Vanish, this dry fire.
Across the country, the government conducted secret Cold War experiments in plain sight.
It was so secretive that we're really just now sort of digging out from underneath this to try to understand the scale of it.
And Dr. Lisa Martino-Taylor helped uncover many of them.
We know that they were giving radioactive cocktails to pregnant women. We know that they were feeding radioactive oatmeal to children in state schools. They've admitted to those things, and they won't release the material related to St. Louis.
It's true. American children in state-run institutions like the Fernald School were fed radioactive oatmeal as part of studies by MIT sponsored by the Atomic Energy Commission. You can see some of the documents Dr. Martino-Taylor worked to gather and declassify on MIT letterhead describing experiments on human subjects. The children, some of them orphans, were told they'd be joining a science club. They were promised a quart of milk a day, a trip to a baseball game, to the beach. A copy of the 1994 congressional hearing shows those children, now grown, describing being told the oatmeal was just vitamins and recalling the health problems that followed: lumps on my arms, my stomach. Pregnant women were also unknowingly given radioactive iron at top hospitals in Tennessee and California to study how radiation crossed the placenta, some later reporting miscarriages, illness, or birth defects. A class action lawsuit resulted in a settlement in the 90s.
Do you believe the U.S. government sprayed some kind of radioactive material on the residents of St. Louis?
I believe that they did. There's so much contextual evidence that points that way, and I spent years looking at this.
She says her research reveals the men who designed and oversaw the St. Louis experiments were some of the top experts in radioactive weapons.
We know that the people who designed the study, who oversaw the study, these were all the radiological weapons experts who were looking at open-air radiological weapons.
One of them, Brigadier General William Creasy, was head of the Army Chemical Corps, the very branch leading America's secret radiological weapons program during the Cold War. He brought in a scientist named Philip Layton, who was the Army's leading authority on using radioactive particles in aerosol form, fog-like clouds designed to drift over enemy terrain.
So the very man who designed this spraying experiment in St. Louis was an expert in using radioactive fog against the enemy.
Yes, he was the expert, the expert.
Then she says there's the timing.
They were looking for a city to test their offensive weapons program. They wanted to do it. They expressed this in documents. St. Louis was their chosen city. That was their analog city to Moscow. And they wanted to do this in 1953. They showed up in 1953 in St. Louis.
But there's one document Dr. Martino-Taylor has never been able to unearth. It's still classified. The Joint Quarterly Reports detail the spraying experiments, all written by Layton himself. The last one is missing. It's called Joint Quarterly Report 5, and we tried to get it. Our team filed a Freedom of Information Act request on May 5th of 2025. By law, the government must respond to a FOIA within 20 working days, but it's been more than 3 months with multiple follow-ups. Nothing. The silence is what's called a constructive denial, and renowned activist Erin Brockovich says it reminds her of cases where the truth was hidden.
So, Erin, what is your reaction to this NewsNation investigation? Did this shock even you?
Absolutely. I think my comment was, are we WTF the kidding me? I mean, what the hell? It's awful. I mean, the biggest thing, and I've learned in 30 years, is it's always the cover-up that enrages people, that hurts people. And I've learned that communities can handle the truth. What they don't handle and where they'll tip a scale is the lie. So this has been a cover-up, and I think that modern-day agencies owe it to them, the truth.
Do you think there's been a lie here, a cover-up here?
It sure looks that way.
Our investigation now drawing attention from lawmakers, including Congressman Wesley Bell of Missouri.
When American citizens have been impacted and exposed to chemicals specifically because of the federal government, I think that we should do, as Democrats and Republicans, we should all do the right thing, make certain to make these folks whole again, get them the compensation they deserve and the treatment that they need and also deserve.
It can happen to you. Don't get duped that it can't happen to you. We didn't think it was going to happen to us. We was babies, kids. It can happen to you, too.
Representative Bell is now fighting to get Pruitt-Igoe included in the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act that would provide payouts to Americans who can prove they were exposed to radiation during the Cold War. But for Pruitt-Igoe residents, there's a catch. Because key records remain classified, they haven't been able to prove what they were exposed to.
What do you want everyone to know about what happened here?
The truth. Whatever the truth is, we want to know the truth. I don't think we get that now.
In the meantime, residents say all they can do is wait, hoping someone finally listens.
When will you give up this fight?
Never. Till I'm cold and dead and buried in my grave.
And Elizabeth, we asked the Army point blank, was there a radioactive component to that spray? It's interesting that they didn't just say no. Rather, they said, quote, none of the reports contained evidence of a radioactive component, pointing us to reports like a review by the National Research Council. But Elizabeth, a close read of that report shows even the NRC admitted they could not fully assess the risk of the spraying, because when they asked the Army for key records, the Army replied the documents were either classified or they were missing. The Army could not find them. And Elizabeth, I have to tell you, these residents feel the government is waiting them out. The people you just heard from last night and tonight are the ones who are still here, who are well enough to speak. One woman we were supposed to meet with died before we could get to her. She was suffering from multiple cancers. Her daughter asked us to keep going, and we will keep pushing for information, including those classified documents, Elizabeth.
All right, Natasha Zouves, stay on the case. Thank you so much for that investigation.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based,
Yo, that was wild and crazy, y'all. Wild and crazy. I know y'all heard that. So these people have been running these damn experiments for however long. So anyway, salute to Tracepectives, salute to Empress Judah, salute to the enemy's public for tapping in. I appreciate y'all. But isn't it crazy how they're gonna even give the children radioactive oatmeals to eat and told them that it was vitamins? Now, come on now. That's crazy. So they know they can't go do that in a third world country, in another country, but they're going to do it to their own people. That is crazy to me. That is crazy and wow that they would do some crazy stuff like that, you know, to their own kinds. And so if they was running these type of experience, right, back then, right? And like Trey Spective said, I forgot about what's that place called, Camp Lejeune and stuff like that, how I think the soil was contaminated, if I'm not mistaken. I think the you know, the dirt was contaminated with some type of toxins, and the Army set up base even though that they know that the soil was contaminated. See, me, I did environmental work, so I know a lot about this type of stuff. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if a business is gonna set up shop, right? Like let me just give a perfect example. They built an apartment complex right near this McDonald's in my city, and where they built this complex at, it used to be an oil company. So, you know, I did type of work like this where you got to dig, I believe, I think if I remember, it was like 10 feet down underground, and make sure all the way down to 10 feet is not contaminated before you can build on top of, you know, build a foundation and build whatever you're building, whether it's an apartment complex, a store, or whatever, because those fumes can come from underground and seep into the vents and stuff like that. It could be carbon monoxide, which is a silent killer. It could be a form of gas, you know, which can knock people down and, you know, knock you out or make you lightheaded and stuff like that. So you know, I know a little bit about stuff like that. But that's crazy that so for a few years now, if people been following my channel, there's footages that I upload of me, you know, recording planes that fly and spray, which they say is chemtrails. Now, chemtrails, from planes, they evaporate. It's like smoking on a hookah. When you blow that smoke out, it evaporates, right? Or you smoking on a vape pen, that smoke evaporates. That's contrail, right? Then there's chemtrail. Chemtrail is the trail that stays behind and it starts off skinny and it gets widened. And then that creates the cloudiness. This is what they've been using when they say they're blocking out the sun because it's getting so hot. So they want the sun ray to go back out in space. Now, who authorized that? Now, there's this pale lady, a white woman, who exposed this. And now there's a documentary y'all can watch too about it. I forgot what the documentary is called, but just type up like chemtrail documentary. I think it came out on Netflix. They try to stop it from coming out. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want the masses to see that. That's a good watch. If nobody watched that, if you want to watch something interesting, go watch that. Because I live in Boston, Massachusetts. They spray the skies all day, every day. People said, oh, because of the government shutdown in their cities where they live at, in their states, they haven't been spraying. Well, that's good for y'all. I know Florida was the only state, I'm not too sure if other states banned it, but I know Florida was the first and only state at one time that banned the spraying of chemtrails. Okay, because what they do is they pay these private pilots to fly these planes and it's equipped. I know it's like three components of chemtrails. It's aluminum, barium, and I never can remember the third component. They might even be four. They spray the skies. People say they be feeling good. Their energy is up and stuff like that. They breathing fine. The minute that they go outside, you know, all of a sudden their mood change. They start coughing. Some of the people I even know said to me that they felt like they was eating on some form of metal because they was breathing this in. It's not just us breathing this. It's contaminating the soil, the lakes, the rivers, the ponds, and stuff like that. Listen, man, these people have been running experiments for years, man. There's engineers that talked about they the ones who worked on this type of geoengineering or bioengineering, whatever type of things, but they never knew that the government was going to be using it on, you know, us, because we be getting sprayed like bugs. But again, I got a lot of footages y'all can see on my channel that I had uploaded of me actually outside showing a clear blue sky, and then you see planes just zigzagging. It's like they playing tic-tac-toe, you know, or drawing X's in the sky, because there's always one going one way and another plane going another way. And then all of a sudden, the blue sky gets cloudy, then we get rain 2 days later, or even a day later, or it's cold and all this other stuff, man. If people still think these things is conspiracy theories, then I don't know what to tell you. Because again, I just played a news footage that's been investigating this, that spoke to people in St. Louis where they were being sprayed. They talk about it. They were veterans in the military. Some talking about it caused cancer to their kidneys. I forgot, somebody else said he had something else, some other form of cancer. Some people passed away. Like, to me, these people should be compensated. And like the lady said, they hoping that these people do not stay alive, so they don't get to talk about it, so now they don't have to pay them out. You know what I mean? But we seen in the case of the radioactive oatmeal, they had to settle a lawsuit. I want to know how much money these people got paid in the 90s. They said the lawsuit was settled in the 90s. This is crazy. The army first came out and said that it wasn't nothing wrong with it. It was perfectly fine. And then the lady said they was hoping that they don't read the whole classified documents about it. And that's what I love. People that do their due diligence, they do their research, they do their just due on their investigation. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. You seen all the documents they showed from the news clip, you know? So I just find it crazy that that's been going on. Salute to Miss D, salute to Nikki baby. Peace and salute to all of y'all. Like I said, Trace Spectives, the enemy's public, he's probably at work. You know what I'm saying? But salute to all of y'all. Empress Judah as well, too, for tapping in. But yeah, man, it's just crazy, y'all. Please do me a favor. Please like, Share this video if you can share it. You know what I mean? Try to get this in the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? Drop the comments. Let me know what y'all think about these that video, that clip I just played of the government experiment. Y'all could DM me on what you call it, on Instagram at Maybach Mel 1804. If y'all have some interesting topics, DM me the topics. You know what I'm saying? I could do a reaction to it. We can play it live, watch it. Y'all can engage in the comment. I can even possibly have y'all, drop the link, and I can have y'all come up on the panel so we can, have a good conversation about it. But it's just crazy, man. Like, I already knew these type of things been going on. Like, we should already know about the Tuskegee experiment, and stuff like that, where they was injecting, over 400 people, I believe, with syphilis. I can't remember what the number is. You know what I mean? But I think it was like that much men that they was just trying to say that they giving them a checkup, a free checkup, and injecting them with syphilis. And I think what wipes out syphilis, if I can remember, is what was it? Penicillin, I think, wipes it out, is the antidote for it. But yeah, they wanted to see the reaction. I remember reading about and watching a documentary as well too about the mustard gas. The government found out that Germany had a mustard gas and they wanted their own. So they got some scientists to make it too. And they used it on their own soldiers. And you already know what soldiers they pick, what skin tone these soldiers were, to experiment on to see if this gas works, and how, how potent or how good it was or how not good it was and stuff like that. They claim they use a variety of soldiers, but majority of the people, from what they said, was melanated folks. You get what I'm saying? So it's just crazy. Which, how you feel about it, Peach?
I don't have a feeling. Do you want me to drop the link in the chat?
Um, I mean, if you Traspectives, if I drop the link, you want to come up? Because I seen that you said that you was in the military. I didn't even know that. And I've known of you for years now, a good 5, 6 years maybe. I didn't even know you was in the military. The Iraq war troops were exposed to chemicals, paint, medical, and human waste. Wow, that's crazy. Metal, aluminum cans. Wow. Petroleum, lubricant products, plastics. Yo, that's crazy. Yeah. And they don't care, man. That's crazy. Traspective, if I drop the link, you want to come up and elaborate a little on it? You don't got to cam up if you don't want to. You know what I mean? You don't have to cam up if you don't want to, you know? That's crazy. Oh, you still at work? Oh, okay. That's cool. That's cool. But yeah, man, that's just crazy that all of that, these soldiers be exposed to all of that, man, when they go to war. Listen, man, the government don't care, man, at the end of the day, you know. Peach, Empress Judah said, what's up? Salute, Empress Judah. Salute to you again. Peace and prosperity.
Hey, Empress, how are you? I'm in the background. Great information, though. I'm glad you shared and did this live.
Yeah, no problem, Traspectives. I mean, I respect it. You say you're still at work. That's all cool. It's all good. I already know you. We've been rocking for years now. Yeah, I'm glad that you at least caught this live, man. I did a few lives. I just be going live different times. I don't be having a set time, but me and my co-host Peach, we do live shows every Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Y'all could check for that. That's 8 o'clock Eastern time. We go live. We have different topics that we talk about and stuff like that. That's every Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Me and my co-host Peach, we go live. You know, um, let me see. Yeah, but yeah, I just find it crazy that the crazy one. I'm not saying spraying those adults wasn't bad, but giving children radioactive oatmeal is just diabolical to me. That's nasty work right there, boy. That's just straight nasty work. And this has been going on for years, man. You know, since World War One, Two, Vietnam, all of these soldiers that go over there, they get exposed to a lot of hazardous chemicals, hazardous materials. Um, you know, like I said, I worked environmental work, so I know how that job can be. You know, you got to have the proper equipment. You if you know working underground, or if you like dealing with certain gases or asbestos, you got to wear a mask with clean cartridges that help you breathe clean air, and you always got to take like I think it's like what was it? It's been years, man. Damn. I think it was like a 10-15 minute break. Like, you know, if you working like in a sewage, you got to come up for some air and stuff like that. Drink some water. Um, you know, you always got somebody up top to make sure that, you know, your equipment is working properly. They engage in conversations with you just in case to make sure you're coherent and stuff like that, even down to de-leading. You can't be breathing lead paint and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So and I just watched a documentary on why they used to use lead paint in the early times, like early 1900s or whatever. I believe it's up to 1970 they stopped using lead paint. That's a good watch too. If y'all want to know, I'll just give you the gist of it. They used to use lead paint in the early before the 70s. They used lead paint to block the frequency because lead paint blocks the frequency and stuff like that. But that's a good watch. I don't want to tell y'all too much. Y'all could look it up. It's on YouTube. There's tons of videos. And you can also look it up on IG. They've been exposing that on IG and TikTok, you know, these content creators. And that's the thing that I love about social media. You know, when you use it the right way, you can research certain things and, you know, watch documentaries and stuff. You know, the times that we were born, you had to go to the library and stuff like that, you know, and read about these type of informations and things like that. I'm not saying they was, you know, informing the masses about running experiments, but I'm just saying to get some knowledge and stuff like that. Now everything's at the, you know, tip of your fingers and stuff like that. So it's all good. I mean, I appreciate y'all for you know, tapping in. You know, y'all could have been doing anything, but I appreciate every single person that tapped in on the live. I wasn't gonna stay live too long. My football team, y'all should know, the New England Patriots do play tonight, Monday Night Football. You know what I'm saying? I definitely gotta watch that and catch that. You know, but you know, like I said, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. To the people that might catch this in the algorithm, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Please like, comment, engage with me in the comments. Let me know what you feel about government running experiments on the masses, man, on the American people. You know, we live in America, so we can only talk about here. I could just only imagine what these other countries do to their people. You know what I'm saying? If they even run experiments on these people. You know, they say they be testing animals and stuff like that. We should already know by now. They're not doing all of that. You know what I'm saying? Um, and again, for YouTube guidelines, I can't say these things as facts. You know, even though we watch a news clip covering it, I have to say this video and this live was an educational, you know, use and purpose only, is to inform and educate, you know, people on things that the government was doing or the military was doing. On this video, they talk about the army. So YouTube, I'm not saying this is facts. I don't know anything. You know, a little birdie sent me this video and I'm just playing it for my subscribers and trying to engage with the subscribers. That's all, YouTube. You know, educational purpose, you know. But Empress Judah laughing, laughing emoji. But I appreciate y'all. Thanks for rocking with your boy. You already know it's Maybach Mel 1804. And on that note, I'm gone. Peace, y'all.